A goat dies in the Sahara Desert. No sound, no movement, nothing for miles in any direction. Within 11 minutes, the first vulture lands. 11 minutes, not hours, not days. 11 minutes. And within the next 30, there are dozens, appearing from nowhere, from a sky that looked completely empty moments before. No one called them, no signal was sent. There was no visible sign from the ground that anything had happened at all. And yet, they knew. For centuries, this has disturbed people. Ancient Egyptians believed vultures could smell the future. Native American traditions thought they could sense death itself approaching. Medieval Europeans were convinced they were supernatural messengers. Because how else could you explain it? A clear, empty sky, a hidden death, and 11 minutes later, the vultures arrive. Scientists spent decades trying to answer this question, and what they found was stranger than any ancient legend. Today, we are going inside one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in the natural world. How do vultures always arrive first? What do they sense that nothing else on Earth can detect? And why does the answer change everything we thought we knew about the limits of animal perception? By the end of this video, you will never look at an empty sky the same way again. A turkey vulture, one of the most common vultures in North America, can locate a dead animal hidden completely from view, buried under thick forest canopy, covered by dense undergrowth, in conditions where no human eye could detect anything unusual, and it can do this from distances of over a mile away. The early assumption was vision. Vultures circle high. They have exceptional eyesight. Surely they simply spotted the carcass from altitude. Simple, clean, logical, except it wasn't true. Researcher Kenneth Stager at the Los Angeles County Museum of Natural History decided to test this assumption in the 1960s. He worked with a gas company that had a problem. Their underground pipelines sometimes developed leaks, and the way they detected those leaks was by adding a chemical called ethyl mercaptan to the gas, a chemical that smells like rotting flesh. And every single time there was a leak, turkey vultures appeared above it, circling, landing, looking for a meal that wasn't there. The gas company didn't realize what they had accidentally discovered. Stager did. Vultures weren't following their eyes. They were following their noses. Because smell is not supposed to work like this in birds. For most of the 20th century, scientists believed birds had almost no sense of smell. It was considered scientific consensus. Birds navigate by sight. Birds communicate by sound. Birds find food by vision. Smell was considered largely irrelevant. The turkey vulture proved all of that wrong. A turkey vulture's olfactory system, the biological machinery responsible for detecting scent, is among the most developed of any bird on the planet. Their olfactory bulb, the part of the brain that processes smell, is proportionally enormous compared to other birds. Turkey vultures can detect the specific chemical compounds released by decomposing flesh at concentrations of less than 1 part per trillion. That is the equivalent of detecting a single drop of a substance dissolved in 200 Olympic swimming pools of water from over a mile away through dense forest canopy while flying. No technology humans have ever built can match that sensitivity under those conditions. And yet, a turkey vulture does it every single day, without thinking about it, without trying, simply by flying low enough to catch the scent carried on the wind. But here is what makes this even more extraordinary. The turkey vulture doesn't work alone. There are actually 2 main types of vultures in North America: turkey vultures and black vultures. Turkey vultures have the extraordinary sense of smell we just described. Black vultures do not. Black vultures have relatively poor olfactory ability. So how do black vultures ever find food? They watch the turkey vultures. Black vultures have learned over millions of years that when a turkey vulture begins to descend, there is food below. So they follow, and they follow in such numbers that they often push the turkey vultures aside entirely and take the meal for themselves, which creates one of nature's most remarkable partnerships. Turkey vultures find the food, black vultures steal it, and somehow Both species thrive because researchers watching vulture behavior notice something else. When a turkey vulture begins to descend toward a food source, other turkey vultures far beyond visual range begin descending too. Not because they can see the food, not because they can smell it yet, but because they can see another vulture descending. And they have learned that a descending vulture means food. Scientists call this local enhancement. The behavior of one bird becomes a signal for others, and those others become signals for more. A cascade of information spreading across the sky, faster than any individual bird could have processed it alone. If this is the kind of science that keeps your mind racing, hit like right now so more people can discover this story. Now we can finally answer the question we started with. How does a vulture arrive at a hidden death in 11 minutes? The answer is a system so elegant, it took scientists decades to fully map it. It begins with the turkey vulture, flying low, quartering the wind, covering territory in a systematic pattern designed to maximize scent detection. The moment it detects the chemical signature of early decomposition, it begins to descend, not directly to the source. First it circles, narrowing, confirming, triangulating the scent. This descent is visible from miles away to other vultures riding thermals at higher altitude. Those birds, turkey and black vultures both, alter their flight paths, begin moving toward the descending bird. Their movement in turn is visible to other vultures even further away, and the cascade begins. What looks to a human observer like dozens of birds appearing from nowhere is actually a communication network that has been operating across the entire sky the entire time. You simply couldn't see it, because the network is invisible. It runs on scent, and on the subtle language of flight patterns, a language that vultures have been reading for longer than humans have existed. Now here is the part of the story that I find most extraordinary. Ancient people were not wrong about vultures. They were just using the wrong explanations for something they observed correctly. They noticed that vultures arrived impossibly fast. They noticed that the sky seemed to know something they didn't. They were right. The sky did know something they didn't. It just wasn't supernatural. It was biological. The Egyptians who believed vultures could sense death approaching weren't entirely wrong either. Because here's a detail that even now surprises people. Turkey vultures don't wait for an animal to fully die before they begin to gather. They can detect the specific chemical compounds released by tissue that is dying but not yet dead. The very early stages of cellular breakdown, which means that in some documented cases, vultures have been observed circling above animals that were still alive, simply because those animals were far enough along in the dying process that the chemistry had already begun. Ancient people saw this. They saw vultures circling above something still living, and they drew the only conclusion that made sense to them. The vultures knew. They were right. They just didn't know how right they were. The next time you see vultures circling overhead, remember what is actually happening. Not a supernatural omen, not a messenger from another world, but something in many ways more remarkable. A biological detection system so sensitive it can find death hidden beneath a forest canopy from a mile away. A communication network spread invisibly across the sky, connecting dozens of birds across miles of territory without a single sound being made. A system refined across millions of years that still outperforms every piece of technology humans have ever built for the same purpose. We spent centuries believing vultures were dark omens, messengers of death, creatures of darkness, when the truth was something far more extraordinary. They are nature's most sophisticated sensor network, operating silently, operating constantly, and operating in plain sight above our heads and every single day. If this story changed the way you see the sky above you, subscribe to Birdhearts right now so you never miss another incredible bird mystery. And tell me in the comments, have you ever seen vultures circling and now wondered what they already knew that you didn't? I'll see you in the next one.